Good afternoon from the Circus Sports of the Main Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Ross Johnston. In NFL news, the Commanders and Jaguars are two teams that have been selected to play in London in the 2026 season. The Jaguars will play back-to-back games across the pond. Also, it was reported yesterday by multiple sources that the 49ers could potentially be moving on from left tackle Trent Williams due to contract reasons. However, general manager John Lynch stated that he is confident both sides will get a deal done to keep Trent Williams in San Francisco. Tennessee took a tough loss last night in Columbia, 73-69 to the Missouri Tigers. The Vols had 4 players in double figures as they were led by Jacoby Gillespie, who put up 19. Tennessee will host Alabama on Saturday in Knoxville. Vanderbilt has another home game tonight as they host Georgia in Memorial Gymnasium. Tip-off for that one is scheduled for 6 p.m. on SEC Network. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans of Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. And we kind of warned everybody Friday before, or I guess it was Thursday because I was off Friday. Thursday, that, hey, you may not get a lot from the Combine. And today, from the interviews and the press conferences and stuff, and let me tell you something. Mike Borgonzi, I listened to him speak 3 different times today. He was on the McShay Report this morning. He had his press conference, and then he was on Buck's show. And that man knows how to speak GM legalese because he didn't give hardly anything away. Now, I mean, like, hey, we'll talk about Peter Skoronski extension got brought up. He kind of said that, they're looking at that and trying to get ahead of the game. They always want to be ahead of the game. Strongly encourage. And everything else he kind of said was kind of boilerplate. The way he described all 3 edge rushers, or the same way that everybody in America has described all 3 edge rushers, and talking about Arvell Reese, Reuben Bain, David Bailey. Yeah. So it was a little rough going for those of us that may need information. But I do think one thing, if you paid attention to at least what he said on Buck's show and what he said at his press conference, I think that if you were to create a word cloud of all the words, I don't know if anybody remembers word clouds out there. They were the big trend a few years ago. And take basically the largest words are the words that were most used in both press conference, besides like or the or any of the articles. It was definitely length and speed. We're right up there. I mean, he said length and speed throughout that whole, both those press conferences Borgonzi did. Oh, okay. I mean, he talked about it throughout the whole, both of them. Over on Buck's show, he said it 2 or 3 times. Over at the press conference, 3 or 4 times, describing all kinds of different positions. Wide receiver, length and speed. Edge rusher, length and speed. Defensive back, length and speed. Off-ball linebacker, length and speed. And maybe that's just what he's leaning into, and that's, whatever. But I would say this. Really feels like they're emphasizing length and speed on this team.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the motto, colleges and the major universities out there, Power 4 are using. And that's kind of filtered in. And now you're always going to have some exceptions to the rule. Like, just think about this.
Because Bain would be a great exception to the rule.
Well, the first round pick by the Titans, who was a really good player. We're not talking about off the field, so you know where I'm going here. He did not meet any of the measurables and I forget what pick he was in the first round, Pac-Man Jones.
Yep.
Pac-Man Jones was a 5'8", super-duper athlete that could cover anybody, return punts and kicks. So guess what? He wouldn't go in the first round now? Because we're talking about length and speed.
Right.
Length, they ain't got no length nowhere. Pull up his stats. As far as not his stats, his measurables that he did at the Combine. The guy's 5'8", 9. I don't think he's 5'10", but they may say he's 5'10" now. But so he still would have went first round. I'm sorry. He was just that good. What was his? Did we know yet?
Well, the problem is I'm going by Adam Jones, and there's also like a couple other Adam Joneses. I'm trying to.
So yeah, I thought you had it. So it's just there are exceptions to rules which he won't say. Is Bain exception to the rule comparable to, I guess, Reese and Bailey? So that's where we're not in depth, and scouting these guys like that and what they prefer. We don't know. I think they don't even know yet. I think this is the part where they start digging a little bit deeper into not only their personalities, but what makes them tick. And I tell you one thing, Bain looked like he old school OG, just the way he looked up there. And when I say that, I mean, it's like, hey, man, I don't care about, nobody's asking me about the length of my arms. That's what he said. He said it real calmly, like, do y'all need to watch the tape?
Yeah.
I mean, because my arms are long enough. I'm a baller. That's what he was saying. And, hey, man, when I put on them pads, they going to feel me. I mean, he didn't say it like that, but the way he was looking, man, he had old school little fro.
Yeah.
Looked like he didn't even combing all the way.
Yeah.
He combed it, but he looked a little scruffy. Like I kind of like that in my D-line guy. Like,
coached by Jason Taylor, and apparently there's a story.
I played in multiple Pro Bowls with. Yeah.
So there's a story out there about Reuben Bain that Jason Taylor let him wear the gold jacket, let him wear the Hall of Fame ring to kind of give him a taste of what he, a little carrot and stick, if you will.
They are totally different style players. That's for sure. There, Jason Taylor was a pure pass rusher. He played in the MAC, so he wasn't on that level. But man, has he done a great job coaching there? And all the guys actually. What's the guy?
Mesidor. Yeah,
Mesidor was really good too. There was times you go, man. So it's gonna be down to the wire, man. If they come to those three that. They're going to pick one of those guys with the fourth pick. They may not pick him at all. They may
I don't have arm and wingspan and hand size
but they
for
got a height
Pac-Man Jones. But he was 5'9.5",
See?
187 pounds.
Yeah.
Ran at his pro day, ran the 4.38 and had a vertical jump of 38.5.
Oh, he didn't beat me.
Nope.
Yeah, but hey, that dude was a baller. So there, and then we have the off the field character issues as well. Before any of that, so so there are always going to be some guys that are off the Richter scale and can make up for not having length. Mm-hmm. But when you're trying to model the positions, you're trying to eliminate, all things that could go wrong in helping your team win games and not lose games. So,
right.
Hey.
It's I think going to be an interesting discussion because Robert Saleh today on Buck's show was asked about Reuben Bain, and he said the same thing he said yesterday. The tape's undeniable, football IQ off the charts, stuff like that. I mean, everybody's kind of saying the arm length discussion doesn't really matter. Like you said, Reuben Bain said.
Until they measure his arm and he come out with some short, tear back the arms,
Like Reuben Bain even says that, like you said, nobody asked him, right?
Yeah.
And I get it, but also, what do you ask in that situation? Because the arm length is the arm length, right? It's not like he can say, well, I can, go to a torture rack and get stretched out, get my arm stretched out. Because it is. I mean, the tape, I do agree, maybe undeniable is a strong word, but the tape is great.
Especially in the playoffs, he took it up a notch.
Yeah, and he said, I felt I could take these games over. And he kind of did, right? No denying it. I'd like to know what happened in a certain stretch of the year where he wasn't taking the games over. That would be one of my questions I'd be asking if I was in the combine specifically for him. I'd also be asking, depending on when I had my interview, I guess, because I found out this morning that he's not doing any of the workouts or drills at the combine. Now, is that because maybe teams told him he didn't have to? I don't know. But we also heard Robert Saleh say yesterday that if you can compete, come out here and compete. And he's not out there competing. Do I think that's a big deal? Really? No. But if I were a team, I'd have questions as to why. And they have those answers already. They know. We just don't know.
Well, let's first clarify. No team told him not to work out. You said the team told him not to work out.
I said maybe. I don't know.
The agent who represents him is the person who's recommending that he not work out. Do your pro day. Everything is in your favor. Here's what you want to do is you want to do the interview process. You want to make sure you want to find out which teams like you. Want to make sure you do well on the physicals. Yeah. You know, sometimes that kind of can knock you down depending on what your injuries were. Well, I don't know his past injuries, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Maybe he had an ACL tear and he's scarring like, his knee moved too much. I could say with me, being a bow-legged guy, they were moving my knees all over the place. And they said, man, you're going to tear an ACL easily. And never tore anything. So, they can really, do some things that can kind of knock you down a little bit. But I think that's a good decision on his part. When you know you're a high pick, it's in your favor to do your workout at your school where you're comfortable and you know that the times are going to be exact. I mean, so it's and then, but there is parts of you that say, man, I want to compete. And I'm sure he does. That wouldn't even cross my mind as a GM.
Especially because you have Reese, who says he's competing, then doing both linebacker and defensive end drills. You have Bailey, which I thought this was interesting. This was very agent-drifting.
Here's where you're going wrong. You think that they're competing against one another. You're only competing against yourself, and now it's a business. So the business side, if you think you're the better one, how come none of the first picks of the draft are workout the quarterbacks? Oh, because they know they're going high. Right, exactly. So he thinks he's going high. So then people are like, oh man, he's going that high. I mean, what did we miss something? We have him as a 15th pick or 10th pick. So it becomes business. Has nothing to do with if somebody wants to work out or not. Now, to your point, there's always a couple guys like, my hamstring is tight. I don't want to run. Yeah. So, they're but the majority of these high-profile guys who know they're going to go top 15, nah.
Well, that's why I'm surprised some of these guys are. To be honest with you, I'm very surprised.
I'm shocked. But maybe, watch this, maybe they want to move ahead of Bain, and this is the opportunity.
That's where my head goes, is like.
But just because somebody high doesn't work out, that doesn't.
Because there is more risk really at the combine to have a bad workout.
There we go.
And maybe that's part of the agent discussion, agent-player discussion, a decision. And listen, Robert Saleh yesterday, quote, on guys opting out of combine athletic tests, quote, if you have nothing to hide, you can come out and compete. Now, I'm not saying that this means anything for Bain's draft stock. But when you're comparing the draft stock of, Arvell Reese is going, David Bailey's doing everything but the short shuttle, which is interesting, which is probably very good agent advice. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But those are the guys that are in that conversation with Bain. And so I am very surprised. And listen, to be honest, I would not be surprised if we wake up tomorrow morning and hear of a few more opt-outs. What if we hear from Arvell Reese late tomorrow or David Bailey and they say, well, we're not going to go today either. I can see it. I can see it happening because it happens all the time at the combine.
Yeah, it does. But everybody has their rhymes or reason, whether it's right or wrong.
Right.
I don't think we want to kind of contest that these guys don't want to compete. I mean, if that's where we at, the film tells you if they like to compete.
I mean, in his film, again, very, very good. That's a competitor, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
You even called him old school, a little bit old school earlier today. And I think that mentality that he has plays into that perception.
There are some questions. I've definitely watched a lot of tape.
Yeah.
And it ain't had nothing to do with his short arms or whatever people were saying about the arms. Because, once you turn on the tape, it's all about ball. I feel like he needs to lose about 20 pounds.
Yep.
And reason why I say that is there was a handful of times, and he could have been tired, that I thought a defensive end is supposed to catch that guy.
Yeah.
And so what I started doing is I said, okay, can Bailey catch that guy? When I watched his tape, I think he could have caught that guy.
Yeah.
On a scramble of a quarterback, not a running quarterback.
Yeah.
Somebody that's a good athlete though, like Mendoza or somebody, that ilk. Or Drew Aller or somebody, whoever. I just said, man, I thought he should have caught him. He didn't gain ground. He lost ground.
Yeah.
So is that shape? Because he is capable, because you saw it sometimes. And I thought those quarterbacks are somewhat, as far as athletically, somewhat in the same vein.
Yeah.
So
Could Arvell Reese have gotten that guy?
Right, yeah.
We'll talk about a few other guys that could do themselves some favor in this edge class.
Yeah.
And could they have gotten that guy?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the question you do have to ask, because I do think there was a problem when we talked about this yesterday, and you just brought it up again with the weight. But, like, there is a problem with his finish. He's a disruptor, no doubt. He disrupts the play. He's probably the reason that quarterback is scrambling, right? Because he busted open the play. But what happened with what was the play result? Could he have gotten a sack when other players would have?
And that's that explosive movement that you pay attention to. It's not necessarily the 40. It's his 5 and 10 yard splits that's going to matter, because that's the get off, and then that's the closing speed. When he's hunting down a guy, then he got that, I'm going to get you. I wanted to see that, and I didn't see it as consistently as I want. So that's where I'm going to shape.
Right.
I could be totally wrong.
Could be.
But that's probably why I wanted to see a little bit more at times. And he starts slowing down and I can't get him. I'm exhausted.
And again, I don't want to get into the best player available conversation.
He's still a high pick.
Right.
I like him.
If you ended up with either Bain, Reese, or Bailey, this staff is probably going to find a way to use them. And because they all three can be used in distinct ways and provide you versatility or speed or length or power and violence and all that kind of stuff. They all provide you different things at different levels. They're all three really good football players.
Oh, yeah.
And I, to be honest, I don't know if Bain's testing would really change my opinion on much of that. And it probably wouldn't with the teams either, but it would be interesting. I think measurements may be a bigger deal to some of these teams than that. But to be honest, to your point, you turn on the tape, short arms don't really seem to be that big of a deal.
Yeah, I didn't see too much of that. And here's why I think Saleh, and this is the coach's world in their mind. Oh, we get to see all three of them on the field at the same time. We just use them to do line. They could take a wide receiver in another position, but we're going to use these third guys. And guess what? We got to see them compete at the same time, and we got to see them all work out, and we could see the differences, at least from our eyes, on the field at the same time. That is
how
where
do they handle bad times or a rough drill and stuff like that?
Well, I'm talking about who's look better.
Yeah.
Who look better? Now, they're all going to look good. But who looked better?
Yeah.
And then guess what? That don't mean that guy was the better player.
That is true.
You nuts and bolts, you got screwed.
Yep. All right, so here's what we're going to do. When we come back, we're going to hear from Robert Saleh, because I think this is a part of the discussion of what we're having about what kind of data he looks for and gathers from the Combine. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Well, we're right around the corner from March. Is that right? And I still haven't got into the gym the way I should. I have not been consistent. I'm trying to get these love handles off of here. And guess what? I need to be disciplined, so I need to go check out my guys over there at Edge Peptide Hormone Therapy. And they do things a little bit different. They make sure all patients have extensive lab work and face-to-face conversations in office with their nurse practitioner to create a customized treatment plan tailored to your specific needs. They use only U.S.-based FDA-audited compounding pharmacies because knowing where your peptides come from naturally always matters. And Edge walks you through the process, guiding you through your treatment, answering your questions, and supporting you along the way. But they also have something that you will enjoy, and that's the in-body scanner to track weight loss and make sure you're maintaining the muscle mass that you have accumulated, as well as you get to lower your A1C, keeping your cravings in check. And boy, do I need that, as well as prioritizing protein and having someone guide your journey from start to finish. So call the team at Edge Peptide for all your wellness questions at 615, of course, 724-1878. That's 724-1878. Or you can check them out online at edgepeptide.com.
Hey, it's Zach Lyons. If you wear glasses, you already know the struggle. I'm constantly looking for them, waking up blind without them, knocking them off the nightstand. Don't even get me started on vacation. Swimming, forget it. Fogging up, smudges, scratches. My whole day revolves around these things so that I can see. And the truth is, I've been dealing with blurry vision for years. Glasses help, but they're also a hassle. And lately, I've been seriously thinking there has to be a better way. That's when I started hearing from colleagues here at Cumulus who had vision correction done by Dr. Horn at Vision for Life. And every single one of them said the same thing. They wish they'd done it sooner. So I did my homework. I read the reviews and decided it was time. I'm going to have my vision corrected by Dr. Horn this week, Thursday. And I'll walk you guys through the experience step by step before, during, and after. If you're tired of dealing with glasses, contacts, or blurry vision, don't keep putting it off. Call Vision for Life at 615-436-2020 or visit visionforlife.com to schedule your consultation. I'll keep you posted, and trust me, I'm excited to finally see clearly. Cover 2. Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is number. We heard from Mike Borgonzi earlier today, and we've been talking about, the two big words he kept saying was length and speed. Now, some people can read into that and say, well, that's obviously David Bailey, so they're drafting Dave Bailey. I wouldn't read too much into it other than in every position, surprisingly enough, they want big guys that can run. I think you'd want that at every position, right? Like, guys that can
strong and fast is always the best, right?
Right. So, I mean, I think that's probably what most people look for. So I don't think it's some big revelation or anything. But Lance Zierlein, during our discussion, actually just posted about Ruben Bain and arm length. And I wanted to read those thoughts because I also want to get into what Robert Saleh says that he gets, because he was on Buck Rising show earlier today, what he gets out of this combine. But this is what Lance Zierlein had to say. Length on the edge for offense or defense is important because the first one in with dominant position is often able to control the action, so leverage. However, Bain mitigates a lack of length by playing with bend and explosiveness. Length matters if an offensive line gets in and extends or is able to use upper body power to displace the edge. Bain often disrupts the tackle's punch timing, like when Mike Tyson would lose the distance by punching his way inside, would close the distance by punching his way inside of his opponent's jab to take away the reach. Because Mike Tyson, kind of a shorter guy, big, powerful guy, though. Bain's explosive power in both his hands and hips combined with his natural leverage create consistent advantages in wrestling mode when both parties are trying to control or manipulate the other through force and leverage. Length matters, but it is relative to the combatants. There are plenty of long-arm tackles who are late or sloppy with their punch, causing their advantage to completely evaporate. And violence plays in the NFL, and I think that's why you can probably say, yes, Bain has short arms, but he's likely going to be the outlier in that conversation.
Well, I mean, all you have to do is just, you don't need someone to type that up or tweet that out or text you with that information. All you have to do is go watch a guy that has lengthy arms and is a NFL draft pick that's probably a first, second round pick. And guess what? We'll see how much it really made a difference. Did it bother him or did he still dominate?
Right.
See, so, it just depends. Whatever fits your fancy is, the way it is. We can talk about all these numbers and as whose arms are short or, who's this fast. At the end of the day, the final answer is based off the tape.
Right.
Because the eye in the sky never lies. It never lies. So, that's why when you see somebody run a fast 40, and then you go, well, dang, they should have been running by everybody. And then you go watch the tape and you're like, well, dang, that guy right there is not as fast as him. Why is he running with him? Well, he don't play fast like that.
Right.
He went and practiced this on how to run, on a track meet, and then he ran a fast time. When, in theory, he's really like a 4.5 guy with equipment on. He's nothing like what he ran at there.
Exactly.
At the combine. So, sometimes certain things get inflated, but it's how do you utilize the skills that you have. And there are numbers that say that you have to have lengthy arms or, at tackle, at defensive end, but there's also some guys that didn't.
Yeah,
some great
Suggs. That's the guy that I always think of when I think of Ruben Bain.
That's what somebody reported yesterday. Is I don't remember what was his arm length. I don't recall.
He was 31 and some change. He had really short arms.
Yeah, well, he was kind of outside linebacker, but it didn't matter. He was a dog, and he went after it, and he knew how to rush. See, so
30 and a half inch arms. So I was actually even shorter than that.
Dang. So, so that's when you just say, okay, what does he look like going against an NFL caliber, tackle when he plays?
How often does he win? Does that have to win every time?
No,
because there's not like 100% win rate, right?
Because I saw him get stalemate about a little bit there. So, it happens.
It happens.
You're not gonna win every play.
Right. And I don't think you need. I think you need to see how much he does win and how much he does disrupt. Mm-hmm. So like that to me is kind of where I go. Is like I think of Suggs, and 30 and a half inch arms is where I kind of went. I thought he had the least 31, but 32 is like that magical number for your offensive tackles, for your defensive ends. And there's been guys. I mean, look at Micah Parsons, right? He had less than 32-inch arms. Now, he's a hybrid off-ball linebacker, but how's that affecting him when he goes and rushes the passer?
Well, maybe he has a real good get-off.
Maybe he does.
He gets after it in his first few steps. Pretty good. And that's when you become really good, when Javon Curse has a great get-off and has all the length, long arms. It's just like, dang, man, wow, this guy has, man, he looks like somebody sculpted you, man. I mean, are you real? I mean, that's how it looked. Nobody else looked like him. I can go down the list of really good players that were good pass rushers. Even Kevin Carter, who was a first-round pick, high pick, fifth pick. Yeah. And he was more built on power.
Yeah.
Than, finesse and length and speed.
Yep. Here's what Robert Saleh said on the Buck Rising show earlier today about the data that he kind of gathers from the combine and how they use it.
I'll be honest, the combine is very strict with regards to messing with those drills because of historical data and all that. So the drills, for the most part, are the same. I'm dating way back. Yeah. And but there are specific drills. And forgive me, I'm not going to get into too much detail on which ones, but there are, from an analytics standpoint, which I'm big on, taking certain numbers from the combine to find your risk, the risk variation of who might be successful versus who might not be. A lot of those numbers kind of come into play from an analytics standpoint.
So he's kind of an analytical guy, but he talks about how they use it for risk. Like your risk variation is what he said.
So what does that mean?
I would look at it because I use the word risk mitigation. Like you're trying to mitigate risk. When you're trying to do free agency, the draft, everything for a GM is trying to mitigate the risk. So
that's why I didn't want him to trade for Snead, because I didn't like that his knee was injured.
That would be a perfect example. A perfect example would be drafting Femi Oladejo and number
analytics to do that.
I mean, what he's using is not technically. I mean, it is analytics, right? Like, so I don't know much about Borgonzi's magical injury algorithm thing where he determines health. But I'm assuming, like, hey, if you get injured here, you obviously have a high chance of re-injuring and all that kind of stuff. I think we all kind of understand. Like Jordan Tyson. It'd be very rare for Jordan Tyson, who has had as many injuries as he has had, to stay completely healthy his entire NFL career. First off, that's just hard in general. But to get the most out of the pick, would he be able to do that? What he is describing in there, Robert Saleh is describing, is that I don't know if tiebreakers is the right word I want to use, but for an example, the data. Okay, I wasn't really looking to jump into this right quite yet, but look at all the fastest 40-yard dashes from 2006 to 2025. Most of those guys did not pan out. Chris Johnson panned out.
But you don't need analytics to figure that out. We got it right there.
Well, but what I'm saying, I know we all saw it. I mean, but what I'm saying is that it's you're pretty much saying, I would look at it this way: 40-yard dash for wide receivers. Most of the analytics would tell you don't draft a guy, or it's very risky to draft a guy that runs a 4.35 or faster, and that you don't really want to go over 4.55 for the 40-yard dash. Now, is that the be-all, end-all? No, it is not. But if you're trying to assess risk, that's what you're using the data for, and that's what Robert Saleh is talking about. Like, because to your point, let's go to Xavier Worthy. He ran a 4.21. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you see that 4.21 on tape. Heck, we could even talk about Chimere Dike, who ran a 4.34. How often did we see the 4.34 really show up as a wide receiver? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where it's at. And 4.34 falls under the 4.35 kind of threshold for wide receivers. That does not mean that Chimere Dike cannot be a better wide receiver. Mm-hmm. But it's almost you're overrating some of the stuff that comes from the combine when really, because fans see fast. Woo!
Well, so do some of these GMs.
Some of these GMs do too.
They're no different.
Right.
Because you can't teach speed. And some of them say, well, we can teach him how to run routes. Well, if he doesn't know how to control his speed, then that won't be different. Now, can he run by the guys in the NFL? Maybe, but a lot of guys are really fast. So it's going to be pretty tough to do that, game in and game out. So when he said that, that was actually kind of weird for me because those are obvious things to me. Now you take more risk as you go down the draft. Like you just use DK. Well, there's a reason why he went third round. Mm-hmm. See, because there were some things that he didn't show with that speed that he ran.
And to be honest, I'm a little surprised he went fourth round where he did because I thought he was probably a fifth or a sixth guy. Now, we're parsing rounds that really probably aren't a big of a deal, but Elikai Manor would be another guy that falls into that too, who people thought he was second round, he fell down.
Yeah, so I think it's like everything in analytics for me. It's a good gauge, but it's not the end all be all. But I think you need to identify what the risks are. And sometimes you want to take those risks because you feel like the film is telling you that I should. And sometimes it tells you not to, and then you have this data to back it up. And so you say, I think I'll take the other guy.
I thought it was interesting. I can't remember where I heard it, but I heard it somewhere, and they said that these guys that break all these records or that are super fast in the 40-yard dash are tight. And so they are more prone to injuries. And then so Maxwell Hairston, so I looked it up because Maxwell Hairston had the fastest combine last year, and he suffered an LCL sprain, then he suffered another injury and missed half of the season. And I thought that was interesting because I'd never have heard that correlation before. And I obviously can't. I mean, if I look at this list, there's a few people on here that had off-field struggles.
Skill guys?
But he was talking about all these guys that just run all these fastest guys either had injury issues or maybe even skill issues. But I thought that was interesting. They said that those guys tend to be more tight than your standard athlete. I've never heard of that before. I believe it was Todd McShay who said that's what the data tells him. But I've never heard that before, but I thought that was interesting. I'd have to fact check it, but I've never heard of such a thing. But I do agree with what you're saying and what also Salah's saying. A lot of this stuff is, I mean, the more that you pay attention to the world of football, the more you kind of pick up on this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. The more you're into all the combine, the draft, the free agents, who busts, who doesn't, blah, 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 blah. The more you watch film, this all makes common sense. And Salah just really is what he's saying is that there is stuff you can gain from these testings. There is information you can gain from these testings, but these aren't the end. Tape's tape. And he's been pretty adamant about that. This is a supplement. Ooh, did he even get to the combine? I thought he was
a late pick, right? But he was a track guy that played football, if I can recall. And I know Chris Johnson ran a 4.24, and I wouldn't say he was tight. So I'm just looking at the Titans guys.
Yeah.
Somebody that's obvious everybody else can see, like a big name. It's just I don't know if I agree with that premise. Maybe that has changed. But man, like having a muscle injury.
A 4.29.
Who?
Tyreek Hill.
So see, a muscle injury compared to like ligament injury, those are two different things for me. So sometimes it's just, cause it was just a freak accident. Like Tyreek Hill slipped, and then got caught, and then he had never been injured like that before.
Right.
So I don't know. We were talking about what he sees.
I don't think there's going to be like a catch-all for any of this stuff that we ever talk about because there's always guys that don't. But I guess you would say the majority.
What was the fast guy for Henry Ruggs? What was his?
Yeah, well,
did he? I know, but I mean, we know what happened. But
yeah,
I mean, did he get injured at Alabama?
Not at Alabama, but he did in the NFL. So I don't know if it's an NFL thing.
Well.
So that's the thing is like they didn't really expand on it as much as I was hoping they would on the show. But I kind of look at some of these guys and I'm like, well, some of these guys weren't injury issues; they were skill issues.
Right. That's what I would lean
like
into.
Some of them are that.
That's where I would lean more to.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was quite that. It probably was a little bit.
I don't know Yaman, like 2007 Yaman Figure's gameplay history, but I know that he wasn't that good.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how many games he played and missed out on. Like Marquise Goodwin, I would say that I do know that he suffered from a lot of injuries, but he was also a smaller guy.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these guys are your smaller guys that aren't built with the weight either, right? Their frame is smaller. Like Xavier Worthy, super small frame. I remember DJ Turner. He had a super small frame. Like those, to me, maybe that's really the more of the correlation they need to be making, is that the guys who typically run this fast typically have smaller frames that maybe they don't hold up to the rigors of the NFL. Like there's this kid that we mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned off air or whatever, but Brennan Thompson, who everybody expects to run a super fast 40 tomorrow, a wide receiver out of Mississippi State, may even break the record. But he's like 5'8". And sometimes it shows up on games against SEC opponents, and hey, that's good to do.
Did he quantify that when he say like the last 10 years, or did he?
No, I mean maybe he meant these guys right here.
Oh.
But that are from 2006 to 2025.
I'm trying to think back. Like the fast guys, once you get into the league, they'll have a half a step on you. But they're not real good route runners.
Right.
And then all of a sudden now they're trying to perfect being a route runner, also running fast, and they're just not used to it because they're going so fast, and all of a sudden they're stopping on a dime, and then that then creates a lot of wear and tear, and they end up maybe injuring themselves.
Yeah.
So, maybe. I'm going to look at it like this. Outside of Randy Moss, I mean, we got some guys that's off the chart. When I used to study the fast guys that you go, oh, man, I do not want to get in a foot race with this dude. I found it that they were good at running straight, but everything else, they were just average.
Right.
So, so you could read them, and I knew I had to get on my horse sooner than later because I didn't have to worry about, okay, we're 30 yards down the field, this guy's running. Well, I'm already 5 yards being a safety. I'm ahead of you. So now I'm turning over my hips and let's go. Let's rock and roll. And if not, then I'm dropping my hips and speed turn out and coming right back. And so that's how I played it when I was. So to me, they were easy to, read.
Yeah.
So
who was like that? That what you described reminds me of a guy that was a free agent for a couple of years here in the last 10 years that all Titans fans wanted. Nelson Aguilar. Nelson Aguilar was a guy that was all of his big plays and all of his good plays are deep shots in the pros.
Was he?
And everything else, he just disappeared. You only really, like, when you played against him.
Yeah, that's not a way.
And that's why he bounced around everywhere. Phil Dorsett was another guy that kind of reminds me of that.
Yep.
That he's just
from the U.
He's just a
vertical
deep guy.
Yeah, vertical guy.
And like that is the difference between someone like them and someone like Alec Pierce. Who Alec Pierce can beat you in contested catch on the slants and all this stuff, but he has the deep speed too. But none of those guys could do any of the intermediate or short stuff and get away.
Yeah, there's a guy. He's probably been on fire. I cannot think of his name right now. He is in the league today. He's been traded multiple times. A receiver. Now he's kind of short, like 5'10" is my size, but he could do just enough to run routes good enough, and he's gotten traded like 2 or 3 times.
Man.
He's really good fast. He played with the Texans, the Saints.
Oh, Brennan Cooks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. See, coming out. Go look up his history now.
He was for the longest time just a deep guy.
Right. See, and that's why I think he gets traded because he was a run trick pony, and that can get you a couple times.
Right.
Then after that, oh man, dang, he ain't giving us nothing.
I know. That's crazy. It's crazy. Like
him.
that. Those are the guys that I kind of think of because for the longest time he was at New Orleans and all he was the deep guy. Drew Brees throws a beautiful deep ball, so it works for them. But where did he show up in yards after catch? Yeah. Where did he show up in those other situations? So like he eventually became a little bit more of a threat the older he got, but not many of those players get that kind of staying time and patience to be able to do that. Yeah. All right, when we come back, we'll hear more from Robert Sullivan, but we also want to hear from you. We'll go to Luke in East Nashville, 615-737-1045. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 1045 The Zone. Cover 2, Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is number. Let's go to Luke in East Nashville. Luke, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Luke Skywalker.
Hello, Luke. Well, we lost Luke, so Luke will have to call us back. Man, that's the worst. I feel so bad because they wait all this time and then they don't answer when we're coming around.
To him. He must not heard us.
He must not.
Oh, man, the boss walked in there.
I know. He says he had to hang up that phone. Let's go real quick to Robert Saleh on what he wants to come away with from formal interviews at the Combine.
You know what? When you get into everyone's different. You know, there's teams that will go into those and try to shake the player to see how they handle adversity. There's some teams that'll just kind of use it as kind of a recruiting tool and have a good time. And you know, we're kind of in the mold at least for us. We're trying to extract some football IQ out of them and try to figure out what they know and what they don't know. And it's we feel really comfortable with the way we do it. We just don't have guys drawing up on the board. They're rehearsed to draw on the board. So they're prepared to kind of, hey, draw up your favorite play, and they, you know, it's easy for them to do that. But, you know, so we've had our position coaches spend a lot of time building cut-ups on each individual player to come in and have a really good 15 to 20-minute discussion. And it is fast, but you can learn a lot about a player with regards to their recall, how much football they know, how much they can pull from the game plan of that specific moment, the player they were going against, why they were calling a play, the situation, you know, just anything that you can grab to see how they feel or what they're thinking or what they recall, just to extract, like I said, as much football IQ as we can. Because a lot of times you get into those meetings, I'm sorry for the long-winded answer, but we already have a bunch of information regarding with regards to character. Their tape is their tape, but there's certain things that you just can't get unless you actually talk to them. And so it's just an opportunity for us to extract a little bit of football IQ. But you still have 30 visits, you still have Zoom meetings, you still have pro days, you still have private visits, and so there's still a lot of information, but this is just kind of scratching the surface to get the ball rolling.
I thought that was interesting because I know stuff is rehearsed, but I thought it was interesting that he said, well, you know, a lot of the stuff that they draw up on the whiteboard or whatever is also rehearsed. I just never really kind of thought of it that way, is that they may be rehearsing favorite plays or this or that, because I figured teams would throw so much at them that they wouldn't be able to figure out what they're going to play or ask them to type up. But
they got trained now, man.
Yeah, I guess so.
I used to train people for the Combine. Then this Combine, and I know, you know, smaller Combine, and I was directly coaching them up on just basic fundamental principles of cover 3, cover 2, blitz schemes, zone schemes, and see how much they recall. This was weekly. Yeah, when I was doing that, that was part of their program, man. I mean, it's a whole nother world now. I had none of that.
Yeah.
So I was flying by the seat of my pants there, but it's a little bit in depth now. So they definitely know that all these guys are rehearsed.
And I love that their main focus, really, it sounds like, the testing's fine. It's nice data to have to round out the maybe last 10% of a picture you already have drawn out. But the football IQ is what their main focus on is, because they said we've already got most of character stuff, if not all the character stuff already figured out. Now it's about the football IQ. Like they're weeding down the list as they go throughout this process, because I know that you could start off with like 250 players, 300 players. I think they watched 400 players, if I'm not mistaken, during the 17-day window that they whittled down to a list. Then they want to whittle that down a little bit more. And football IQ obviously means a whole lot on top of character for this team. All right. Coming up next, we'll go to Luke as well. We'll hear from more Mike Borgonzi. We'll talk more about the Combine. It's our Combine preview show. It's Winning Wednesday, though, on 104.5 The Zone, with Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball as it comes to Nashville's Municipal Auditorium for Season 5 now through March 1st. Be caller number 5 now to win 2 tickets to Game 23 and 24 this Sunday at Nashville Municipal Auditorium. 615-737-1045. See the final games this weekend that feature top talent on the court, including Aisha Clark, Alicia Clark, Tina Charles, Anisha Morrow, and many more. Go to auprobasketball.com to learn more. AU Pro Basketball, our court, our game, our show. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Good afternoon from the Circus Sports of the Men Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Ross Johnston. In NFL news, the Commanders and Jaguars are two teams that have been selected to play in London in the 2026 season. The Jaguars will play back-to-back games across the pond. It was reported yesterday by multiple sources that the 49ers could potentially be moving on from All-Pro left tackle Trent Williams due to contract reasons. However, GM John Lynch stated that he is confident both sides will get a deal done to keep Williams in San Francisco. Tennessee took a tough loss last night in Columbia, 73-69 to the Missouri Tigers. The Vols had 4 players in double figures as they were led by Jacoby Gillespie, who put up 19. Tennessee will host number 18 Alabama on Saturday in Knoxville. Vanderbilt has another home game tonight as they host Georgia in Memorial Gymnasium. Tip-off for that one is scheduled for 6 p.m. on SEC Network. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news and launch on your home for the Titans of Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door and broadcasting live from the 104.5 The Zone Circus Sports Studio. Kentucky's largest sports book can now be found at Kentucky Sports. Wait a minute, at Circus Sports at Kentucky Downs. Man, I haven't messed that one up in a while. Let's go to Joe in Bowling Green.
Kentucky.
Joe, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
It's Bowling Green, Ohio. No, I'm just kidding. Good afternoon. Blaine, I got a question for you. We're talking about some players like Downs, Reese, Bailey. I think Bain looks like he's an outlier in that group. How do they fit into Saleh's 4-3? I mean, it's a different defense than we've been playing. How do you view those 3 players fitting in? You know, is there adjustments, they have to make to that system? You got 4 with their hands in the ground, I assume. So how does that change what they're looking at?
Bailey, Downs, and who's the other guy?
Did you say Downs, Bailey, and Reese?
Reese.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Joe.
I think the big question, let's start with Reese. He, in his interview, he acted like he was a pass rusher.
I mean, that's how you get paid.
Right. So I was like, well, dang, I didn't see a lot of that. So you're kind of, do you have pass rush skills? So that's when I'd be probably talking to Knowles, who's now at Tennessee, there at the D.C. He would know him a little bit, as well as the coaches that are there, Patricia and crew there. So, that's I think all 3 of those guys can fit in this scheme and system that they run, 4-3, whether it's about where you want to play them. Like, I think Reese, he can be viewed. I want to see how well he does on some of the athletic charts. He can be viewed that you want to put him in, 3-point stance.
Right.
And because of his athleticism and his speed and get off. So, I think, yeah. And I mean, Downs can play in any scheme and system. I know a lot of people. Now, every player has strengths and weaknesses and some that they are better at than not. Downs can play deep middle. I watched him live in a game, as well as when he was at Alabama. He played back there a little bit more than he did at Ohio State. Now, is his strength kind of around the box and being a rover type player? Yes. But he is capable and good and probably can be even better if he did it more, just because that's not what they asked him to do. So that's when we're talking about putting players and schemes and systems to their strengths. That's not to say he's never going to not play post safety,
Right.
So he can, I saw him get a pick in one game at Alabama playing post safety.
Exactly.
So I was going
to say Alabama tape,
I think
Ohio State tape.
I think when you're talking about these elite guys, and when I'm referencing sometime, and I'll probably say it a little too much, is about schemes and systems. It's about the guys that are missing some things. So these top of the draft guys, if you want to potentially get them, they can pretty much play in most schemes and systems. It's about how you employ them in those schemes and systems. So, I mean, they're just that gifted and talented. I mean, they just are. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with any of those guys, and even Bain on that list, too. Those guys are really good. I'm starting to look at Reese, though, as a down lineman. So then, a 3-point stance guy, and I think about Javon Kearse, who was more of a stand-up guy. linebacker. He moved from safety in high school to linebacker to, but he looked like he was longer, than this Reese kid. So I just not sure how quickly he can adapt. I don't know how much he's been working on that. Does he do bag drills as a defensive lineman?
He said today he's going to do both the position drills at linebacker and with the edge rushers, and he's going to do all the athletic testing. Now, he's going to do his athletic testing with the edge rushers, from what I understand, but he's going to do both sets of position drills.
Yeah.
Because they both test the same day.
Way. Yeah, okay. Gotcha. I think some other player did that just a year or two ago, which was really cool. But I felt like
I guess Travis Hunter. Did he even do anything at the combine last year?
Man, I don't know. It was a lineman guy. I don't.
Okay.
They looked like they was getting tired though. I can tell you that because they did the drills, about an hour earlier, and then now, So the guys are giving forth a lot of effort when you see that competition between another player that who you're trying to beat out. Those guys start revving it up, and they look like some of them get tired too. Especially those bag drills, you're kind of going against another human being out there.
Right.
But what also did he say Bailey? Now Bailey is a guy that he has pass rush moves.
And he's wide nine all day in my mind.
He's definitely he's a pass rusher. Now I'm not concerned, but his weakness is playing the run as solid as most. But he can play the run. I mean, I saw him play.
And
the
he
run.
has improved from his days at Stanford to Texas Texas Tech last year.
Yeah, so he looked like he's more than capable. But he did already show pass moves. I saw spin move. I saw cross chop, arm over. Yeah, so he looks like he's already kind of more polished, I would say, than Reese, because you just didn't see as much of it. Do we know how much Reese played in a 3-point stance or 2-point stance standing up rushing?
Okay,
standing
so
on the line?
he mentioned today that he transitioned from off-ball linebacker to edge, or to a defensive end, is what he said in one of his interviews today. Which I was not aware of that, to be honest with you. I don't know if maybe that was his early days at Stanford or if he was referencing something in high school, but he played off-ball linebacker at some point before transitioning full-time in this Texas Tech system to specifically a defensive end pass rusher.
I'm talking about Reese.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were...
Yeah, that's why you threw me.
I'm sorry.
So I know you was looking up stuff for us.
Sorry.
So, but Reese, how much did he play percentage in I'm going to say 2-point guys?
Gotcha.
When he was rushing, most of the time he got in a 2-point. Did you see him in a 3-point?
Yeah, you see it. Here's the thing about Reese. A lot of his pressure came from blitzes from the off-ball linebacker position, which is a little bit different. Now, when he plays that defensive end position, or that 3-point stance is what you're talking about, he does play it with violence. Like, that is a guy that plays with violence and stuff, but most of his snaps
were off-ball linebacker.
Were at off-ball linebacker.
That was what I was asking. What were the percentages between when he was a pass rusher, not blitzing, pass rusher to off-ball linebacker?
I'm going to have to look. That's one's going to take me a little bit to look up.
Periods of time, I'm like, dang, he never rushed.
But from tape position, it felt to me that it was a lot of his stuff. From what I saw on tape, it felt to me that a lot of his pressures came from blitzing, from the off-ball linebacker position. Now, those are the games that I've watched 4 games of them. Those are the games that I watched. He's obviously played way more than 4 games this year. Right. But that's what it felt like to me.
I probably watched that. I think I saw him rush 2 times from the defensive end spot.
Because he only really rushed the passer 119 times. And he played on the defensive line 327 times. Now, that can also mean edge rusher in a 2-point stance. But he played in the box 286 of his snaps. Now, that's just, what PFF says and all that kind of stuff. Right. But mainly he was lined up, over the tackle when he was on the defensive line outside the tackle. But that can also be standing up, like as an edge rusher, like a Harold Landry, for example. Right. So to me, that's what it felt like with Reese. But when he does rush the passer, his closing speed, his violence, all that stuff shows up on tape. But to your point, what is he in this defense? Maybe he's just both. And to the caller's point, like, how do these guys fit? I think they all fit in different ways. I mean, Downs and Bailey's fit is way more clear-cut dry, right?
Right.
Post safety, clearly is what Downs is. You look at an Earl Thomas, like for those that Legion of Boom, Robert Sala's defense
in the box,
right? He could do both.
I think Winston is more so a box guy than what people are talking about. Caleb Downs,
that. David Bailey's your wide 9, designated pass rusher kind of guy that's always going to be lined up a little bit outside the tackle, try to get in there and use the speed and length to get at the pass. Arvell Reese is a defensive coach's kind of dream, right? He's a guy you can deploy in multiple different ways, and he's really good at everything that he does. And Bain, I think, fits in this system too. Now, is he going to be the wide 9 guy? Maybe not, but I think he can line up all around the defensive line, and that's also a plus for him. What's interesting about Arvell Reese to me, and this goes back to our conversation yesterday, which was a great conversation about teachers. And his coach this year on defense, Matt Patricia, who's considered one of the best teachers on the defense side of the ball of the last, few years, right? He's a really great, he's not a good offensive coordinator for whatever reason why Bill Belichick did that, and not a very good head coach.
That's like putting me back there and running the board, man.
Both of us probably.
With Zach and Ross, man, they would just run circles like, man, what are you doing in here? Hey, man, Belichick told me I can run the board today.
Yeah. So, to me, it's not a great head coach. Definitely not a great offensive coordinator. But he's one of the best teachers. And him, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, I think it's Caden McDonald. I always want to say Proctor, but it's Caden McDonald, Caleb Downs, and another guy that I'm going to talk about a little bit later, Davison, and I hate that I chose someone with a horrible last name.
Oh, no, you said their name is horrible because you can't pronounce it.
Yeah, Davison Igbonason, who's number 1 on the Ohio State, who's a cornerback. All 5 of these guys took to Matt Patricia's very complicated system.
Yeah.
And learned it all in one offseason and all performed really well from it. So that tells you about their intelligence and ability to absorb a new system, absorb a playbook. And I think that's a very underrated aspect for these Ohio State defenders that we're probably not talking about enough, specifically with Arvell Reese, who is asked to do a lot of different things in an NFL-level defensive system, and which was the best defense in college football, and he's one of the best defensive players in college football in this draft. I'm kind of a little bit more on the Arvell Reese train than I probably was a few weeks ago. The more research and film that I have watched, because I've watched about 4 games now. I want to watch more, and I'm thinking, I can see the vision with a guy like Arvell Reese. I do think his testing is important to a certain degree to tell you from the defensive end perspective of a 3-point stance, what's he going to look like coming out of that stance on a consistent basis.
Well, with all that, being a linebacker, he should run really well. He should have great explosions of that. Yeah, you could see that in the tape, though.
It's going to be hard. And he'd have to be one of those people that had a really bad combine for whatever reason, because I think him and his running mate in that linebacker position, Sonny Styles, are probably the 2 biggest freaks of nature, because they're both like 6'3 plus and 240, 250 pounds, and they may light up the combine athletically.
Well, I just want to pull your chain here. Wonder if, we know Mendoza's going 1. Who's going 2? Let's say it's a defensive guy.
It could be Arvell Reese.
It could be
But
Reese.
I would put it out that Caleb Downs goes number 2. With Aaron Glenn, he loves defensive backs and guys like that. But again, you're taking you get into the discussion
what
of best player available.
Look like?
Oh, I'd have to go check.
How many players do they? What are their?
They probably need 13,000.
Don't they need a quarterback?
They need a quarterback.
Who's their quarterback?
Technically, Justin Fields is their quarterback. Because he did sign a 2-year deal.
Right, but he's not a cap casualty. I don't know where. I thought I heard that.
He may be. He may end up being. But I'm just saying right now, he's their quarterback.
Okay, so I'm saying Ty Simpson.
Which is also not preventing you from drafting a quarterback, even if he had him. But look at their safeties. It's Malachi Moore and Andre Sisco, who they signed to a short-term deal last year from Jacksonville, or 2 years ago from Jacksonville, and Malachi Moore, who we both liked coming out of college. That's a guy that didn't test very well that you knew could play football. And I think he showed that last year.
Like where I thought you go. Hey, 4th, 5th round. He's a solid player. You don't start at Alabama for that many years.
Right.
I'm sorry, man.
But you may have all three of these guys on the board. You may have like 5 really good players at the board on number 4. I mean, to throw in Jeremiah Love and Caleb Downs, but talking about the 3 pass rushers, they may all be there. It's kind of a wild draft right now when you really think about
What
it.
if they just decided, you know what? We, based off how this draft is, we can get maybe just a tick below these pass rushers in the second round because we're a high second round pick.
I think there's a few
and
that
we
you
go
can.
bang busters on Love, Tate. I mean, some skill guy, and then they come back and then tell me who they should draft if they did do that.
Okay, let's do that because let's hear from Mike Borgonzi, who talked about Jeremiah Love and echoed the same thing Robert Saleh said about Jeremiah Love. So we'll hear from Mike Borgonzi when we come back. We'll also hear from what Mike Borgonzi said about best player available. And I'll tell you a guy that I have my eye on the second round that I'm very interested to see how he performs at the Combine. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Bang. Want to know about a place where European auto repair doesn't feel like European auto repair? Well, hey, it's Blaine Bishop to tell you that the moment you walk into Eurofix, you'll notice Eurofix is not your typical greasy garage. The waiting rooms are pristine, clean, comfortable, and inviting. You can even work in there on your laptop, man. It's just like you're in your game room at home. You know, service areas are just, I'm going to just say they're spotless. Why? Because Eurofix cares about everything, from how you are treated to how your vehicle is treated. And every repair comes with a rock-solid 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all the repairs Eurofix performs, and at below dealer pricing. And you don't have to put up with dealer pricing or get ghosted when you're waiting on a call back, because Eurofix is all about being professional. And Eurofix fixes everything European, plus a rental car is available with every appointment. Locations all over the state in Nashville, Franklin, Belmead, Murfreesboro, Mount Juliet, and yes, more are to come. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
Cover 2, Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. One thing you can take away from at least Mike Borgonzi and Robert Saul is that they both really like Jeremiah Love, and they both have an interesting comp for Jeremiah Love because they both said the same player, and that was Jahmyr Gibbs. I kind of see it, but don't really get, a 3-down player is essentially what they're saying. I don't know if Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy that comes to my mind as a 3-down player, because I know he wasn't used that way when he first got into the league, but he is an exceptional talent at running back. But here's what Mike Borgonzi had to say about evaluating Jeremiah Love.
Yeah, anytime you can get a running back like that, especially a 3-down running back that can play in the pass game as well, and be able to take over a game. You've seen guys in the league now that can do that. I think Gibbs is an example in Detroit that can run in between the tackles. He can, he's a game changer, and you can line him up outside. You can use him as a receiver, and I think this guy in the draft, Jeremiah, does that as well. Yeah.
Salah said the same thing about Love. He mentioned Gibbs as well. Is that kind of somebody you see him being kind of in that mode?
Well, I think it's the speed and the ability to play on 3 downs, what you see with those players, and they're tough.
So there you have it. I mean, they both kind of say the same thing. Game changers, play all 3 downs. We agree with that. We love some Jeremiah Love. But we also know there's a struggle between best player available, need, position of the player itself. And listen, Brett Veach was asked about this, and Brett Veach is the general manager of the Kansas City Chiefs. And, quote, he said, most teams, wrong thing. At the end of the day, you want a guy who's going to be a great contributor on the field and off the field. Stick to the mantra, take the best player available. Now, that's kind of what Mike Borgonzi has said, but we both have talked about it, and I land a little bit more best player available a lot, but you make the best case for it, is that can you afford to take the best player available? Because we go back to the Raiders, right? Like the Raiders is a good example. Brock Bowers, Ashton Jeanty, back to back. Now, I heard an interesting counterpoint. Is like someone said, Ashton Jeanty, well, they didn't have the supporting cast to support Ashton Jeanty when they drafted him, which I thought was a very weird thing to say about a running back. But again, are the Titans in a different position to be able to maybe take a risk? Probably not. But there's no denying that he is a game changer. But best player available, if you were to do enough in free agency, and that's been my sticking point with this discussion, if you do enough in free agency, and then let's say a guy like an Oklahoma edge rusher, number 32 from Oklahoma, R. Mason Thomas. Now, he said today that he has been training, and his goal is to get a 4.4 40-yard dash time.
What's his measurables? Do we know?
He is 6'2". Now, he's according to Wikipedia and the web pages that tell you, we don't know what his measurables are quite yet.
But what they had on his, yeah.
Yeah, 6'2", 249.
249. So he's Harold Landry-esque as far as size, or is he bigger?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's kind of how, since we especially talking about second round, that's why I go to there.
Harold Landry was 6'2", 252.
Oh, so Landry's bigger.
So, yeah, he's I believe it says 252. Yeah, 252 at the combine. And he ran a 4.64. And he had a very elite combine for his size and everything. 3 cone of 6.88, short subtle 4.19. I mean, it was good. He thought he was going in the first round. He did. A lot of people kind of thought he was going to go in the first round, but the injury history, those medical checks, I think, is what kind of got him. But, I mean, R. Mason Thomas seems like a guy that, hey, Harold Landry carved himself out a nice career. Now, was he ever in the A-plus edge rusher one kind of guy? No. But you're in the second round. If you get me Jeremiah Love and R. Mason Thomas, I'm walking away pretty happy as a Titans fan. Now, I don't know if everybody feels that way, but I'd be feeling that way.
And that's why I said we really don't know what Borgonzi is as far as I'm always going to take the first available. We don't have enough data, at least as him as GM for the Titans. We don't know how much input he had there at Kansas City, and what he felt like he would do when he became the GM. Because do you think he took the best player available last year? Oh, yeah, he was the number one pick. He had no choice, right?
You're right.
But he could have. Here's a form of not taking the best player. He could have traded the pick.
Yeah.
See, that's
That's
a form
right.
of not taking the player.
Mm-hmm.
So he did take the best.
I would say, and I don't know if anybody asked him about a trade back in any of the conversations, but I would say that I bet they kind of are aiming for a trade back. If Mike Borgonzi and the Titans, in this draft, because then maybe you can afford to take a Jeremiah Love if he falls to you to wherever you may be, and then you can still get maybe not just one edge rusher in the second round, maybe you can get 2 edge rushers in the second round.
I don't know how those games are played in the draft. Like, then okay,
I just know
you're trying to move back, and then
Right.
how do you know the team behind you? Because you have to be on the phone talking to them too. They may take them at 5 or 6.
I don't know. And see, that's the thing is like, there's also stories of, hey, we don't want to draft a player here, but nobody's calling us to trade up. Nobody's answering our phone call. Mike Mayock talks about that with Cleveland Farrell, the year they took Farrell in the 2019 draft, and like nobody called, so we just kind of took the best player available on our board that was also at a position of need. And maybe he does admit that it is a little bit of a reach. And then so it's like it's the worst case scenario, right? Like not only is it a reach, but you couldn't trade back and you wanted to trade back.
I cannot. Hey man, I would be so conflicted. I would be just screwed. I'd be like, hey, man, you go with your gut and you do it immediately and then you keep moving. So,
yeah.
Man, Love is special. There is no doubt.
No doubt
and
about
bigger
it.
than Gibbs. And I think what he was trying to compare them as far as what their impact will be, explosive, game changer.
Yeah.
Just Love has more size. So I could say he probably is a little more durable. Not to say Gibbs has any injury issues, but they did have 2 backs. They rotated them. Montgomery was actually really the bell cow.
Yep.
And which they're talking about cutting him too, by the way.
I know.
For salary cap issues. So, and give Gibbs a big deal. Big contract.
Yep.
Yeah. So, that's just interesting, man, because the Titans haven't had a game changer in this manner. Like, we all know what Derrick Henry became, but we talking about this is a mixture of spears with size and power.
Yeah.
See, that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I will
say this: he suffered a minor because someone brought this up.
He had a big brace on his knee, and he still was juking people and running people over now.
So I don't remember which 2024 game it was because they did go in the playoffs and he played throughout the playoffs. He suffered a minor knee injury, and that's why he wore that big brace. Didn't have to have surgery, nothing like that, and it didn't prevent him from performing in the college football playoffs 2 years ago when they were in it. So it's not this because someone tried to, and I was going back to try to find the Jeremiah Love episode from it's Christmas Eve that I did it, and there was someone on the YouTube comments. Someone in the YouTube comments said, "Well, his injury history scares me more than Jordan Tyson's injury history," and that was Bustin' Diamond, if he is listening, who's a face in the YouTube chat. I saw that this morning,
true.
and I was like, "That is 100% 2 apples and oranges at this point." And listen, I'm not saying that Jordan Tyson tried to play through his hamstring injuries. I'm not trying to diminish, say he's not tough, but it didn't slow Jeremiah Love down. He kept on playing, and he came back the next year, and it didn't slow him down. And he doesn't have the tread on the tires as a lot of these other running backs do. Yeah. I mean, remember Ashton Jeanty?
That was his back. Price? Or
Price. Or it was a Prince.
Prince is a Prince.
Jadarian.
Hey, I'm going to say this. I think he's 3rd, 4th round guy.
Yeah.
I like him too.
Yes. And
I'm not like Love.
Not like Love. I mean,
he's on a whole nother plane.
A whole nother level. Yeah. I mean, he also saw over 70% of his stacked boxes and all that kind of stuff and performed. For me, he's just that play. He's that dude in this draft. Him and Caleb Downs are that dude.
Drills, man.
I can't wait to watch him.
Dang, this dude is quick and explosive. Yeah. I mean, man, he's been groomed.
That's a guy that's trying to play his way into saying, talk about undeniable tape. Jeremiah Love has probably the most undeniable tape in the.
He did this spin move against somebody. In the open field.
It was. I just saw it again the other day too. I know what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh! I mean, this guy, man. If I had a dream, you do some stuff like that, man.
That's a guy that's like performing this weekend with the idea of, I want to be in the top 5.
Yeah.
You guys can't say that I'm a running back and I can't be worth the top 5 pick. I want to prove you wrong. I want you to make that decision.
Hey,
like, that's a guy.
I'm still thinking about taking him before. Like, I for whatever reason,
I can't get away from it.
I know. It's addictive. This is what happens to the guys who are picking the guys this fast. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Oh my gosh, did you see how fast he was?
Yeah.
I gotta have him.
Gotta have him.
I gotta have him.
He's a little bit better than Darius Hayward-Bay, though.
No, I'm just comparing the philosophy and the thought process that overwhelms you and just makes you take like the best player available.
Right. All right, let's go to Charles in Nashville. Charles, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Help us out, Charles.
Yeah, guys. Hey, I'm with you. I like Love a lot and would be fine if we took him, but I'm not really understanding why Kenneth Walker III is not getting more discussion as a potential free agent. And I'm not talking about because he was Super Bowl MVP. He is an absolute beast, and he has been. And I realize you'd pay a little bit for him, but we got to spend that draft pick another way. And I've watched him a lot. And my kids were the ones that are all over him on fantasy for the last couple of years. And, I mean, this guy is an absolutely top-flight, explosive running back. And, I mean, he gets no chatter in Nashville, and I don't get it.
Charles, we've talked about him a few times. Appreciate the call. My thing is the Seattle Seahawks have the 5th most cap space. I'm kind of resigned to the fact that he's not hitting free agency. And maybe I'm wrong for thinking that way. But I'm having a.
They didn't tag him either, did they?
They haven't tagged. They still have time to tag him. Okay. But they haven't mentioned tag. They've said that they want to sign. I think they've come out and said they want to sign him. You say that about every free agent. We don't. I just have a feeling that with Zach Charbonnet injured, him with the MVP, and them with the cap space, the money, and the means to do it, I would be just very shocked if he made it to free agency. I think he's going to get re-signed. But that's just, I mean, maybe when we're closer, we'll talk more about Kenneth Walker. It just feels a little bit early to get in that discussion.
I'd transition tag him and Breece Hall because I'd be dirty GM. Yeah, I got you for one more year, bro. If somebody wants you, they got to trade for you.
Well, that's the franchise tag. Transition tag, you have a chance
you got to match it.
You got to match it. And they could. And that's the other thing with the Seahawks is that they definitely could. I want to
see who, because I think there's probably 3 or 4 teams that like both of those guys.
Right.
But we're going to see how much they want you.
Yeah.
That's that agent right there.
That is correct. 100%.
Yeah. So how much do you like Walker? Would you take Walker and sign him as a free agent over taking Love because it's not as big of a need with Pollard and Spears on your roster?
Yeah.
And can you go take a running back in the 3rd round like we're talking about and still get by for this one more year while we're building the foundation?
The run game just turned into such an important aspect for Cam Ward's kind of development last year. I mean, he's got better as the run game got better. I'd be willing to entertain kind of the same philosophy in kind of flip-flop. My philosophy is that, hey, if you fill up the edge rushers, you can go running back in free agent. Edge rushers, free agency, running back there. If you were to maybe do a little bit of both and you upgraded running back, then I'd cry a little bit that we're not getting Jeremiah Love. I'd shed a tear. But you could then really, truly maybe you go Caleb Downs. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. But maybe you go a different player or you just keep stacking edge rushers.
So you're the GM that takes the best player available regardless. Regardless if it's need. Because you say Caleb Downs, we don't need no safety.
I know. We don't need it.
Not
I mean, not this year. But I'm also trying to stack blue chip talent on the roster and a talent that hasn't had a blue chip talent.
You're not. How many? All right, let's look at every team. We're going to start with middle of the road team, Atlanta Falcons. How many blue chips they got? I don't know. I have no idea. But if we just guess,
Drake London.
See, so what I'm getting
and
at is
Bijan Robinson.
Right, you're going to go with first round guys who win in the first round because they have that talent. Then they have the projection.
Yeah, but and I don't even know if I'd really consider Drake London there. I know some people may say Kyle Pitts. It may just be Bijan Robinson on that team and Chris Lindstrom, their center. right? Center or guard? Lindstrom. That's about it. I mean,
it's an error of the middle row team. I mean, so
yeah.
What I'm getting at is you're not going to have, you're using the term blue chip. You're not going to have that across your roster as much as you think in the National Football League. You got to have them at the right positions, which is pass rush. That's why quarterback. I don't think running back's on the list. Now wide receiver and tackle, right?
Right.
See? And that's why everybody looks past and goes, well, we can get a good running back, maybe not a blue chipper.
Yeah.
Right? That can service us well. So is that blue chipper already at the right price with Pollard for one more year? Buy yourself a little more time. I don't think I think like that. I don't think you do because you would go with the blue chipper. That's what we're wondering is what does Borgonzi think?
Yeah, I guess I also consider him a game changer too. You know,
right. And with good blocking.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they have pretty good blocking for the run game. It's tough because I would make sure that in free agency I cover up as many holes as I can. And listen, if the grades are all the same, right?
That would dictate if you went with
okay. Yeah, for me, it starts with free agency. So that's what I was saying. If you went Kenneth Walker, you wouldn't go Jeremiah Love.
Right.
If you went Breece Hall, you wouldn't go Jeremiah Love. And maybe you go those players because they're still out in the market after you lose out on some edge rushers. I don't know what their free agency plan of attack is, how much they're willing to spend, how they're really going to go for it. You know, on these certain positions, he mentioned at some point, Borgonzi mentioned edge and cornerback is pretty deep at free agency, which is true. It is pretty deep in free agency. Doesn't mean they're going to sign a bunch of guys, but it is deep in free agency, right?
Yeah,
but it's also deep.
We already knew.
Yeah, but it's also deep in the draft.
Yeah,
and that's also what he said. So it's like, where do you tackle the market, or do you try to just double down because those are premium positions, right? Just because you technically go edge rushers in the free agency, if they're 2-year contracts, that really doesn't prevent you from drafting an edge rusher at 4.
Yeah. Here's what you're missing. It just dawned on me. What did he not tell us in free agency?
He mentioned wide receiver corner. He didn't mention running back in free agency.
All right. No,
is that what you're talking about?
So there's a lot of receivers.
That's what he said. I don't agree with him. I don't know. But
I guess he's still counting Pickens.
I guess. That's what he said. I am not making that up. He said that.
Let's look at the list. I mean,
I don't agree with him. I'm with you. But he said it. I just don't agree with him.
Oh, maybe he knows something we don't know. Like
maybe
somebody
he
get
does.
traded or something.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be shocked if they went receiver.
Yeah, Borgonzi says free agency. Well, okay, let me say this. This is what he said. Mike Borgonzi says free agency has good edge, cornerbacks, and wide receivers. He didn't really technically say deep, but that's what he said. But even then, I wouldn't even put wide receivers in that, even at good, in my opinion. So when we come back, we're going to tell you some of the things we're keeping an eye on at the Combine. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Tate +8.
Yeah, because he said something about Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is number. A few players and maybe situations I'm very interested to watch. I want to start with the guy that I was talking about earlier, Ohio State #1 cornerback, Davison Igbonasoon, which I'm sure I'm going to butcher that name all the time. He took his penalties down in 2024 to 2025 from 16 penalties to 5 penalties.
So these are guys you're watching?
These are guys I'm watching. He was the fastest player at the Senior Bowl. He's 6'2", 192 arms, or 192 pounds, almost 33-inch arms. They're thinking that he's going to be around 4'4", and because he was the fastest player at the Senior Bowl, 21.2 miles per hour, according to Zebra Technology there. He's a good press corner. I like him. Yeah, I think you would like him. I think you'd like his tape if you haven't watched him already.
You just told us if he's the fastest guy, don't draft him.
Well, fastest guy at the combine.
Fastest guy at the combine, not the fastest quarterback.
Right.
Oh, man. So he's got length. He's
got that length. He's got that, I love that I don't know how he did it, but I love that his penalties went down by a considerable amount. And that's apparently one of the reasons why he didn't come out last year, is that I guess penalties were keeping him from getting a higher round grade or something. I don't know. That's a rumor out there. But, this time of the year, the rumors are out.
You got him first on your big board.
I don't have him first on my big board, but if I'm thinking about a second round corner for this team, a guy that would be a guy that I have my eye on.
He's second round?
He could be second or third round. Well, he may go up to the first after the combine, but that's just a guy that I'm keeping an eye on right there. Jermod McCoy, for all the University of Tennessee fans. I'm very anxious to see because, it's time. It's like the groundhog coming out to see his shadows, trying to come out of hibernation. Jermod McCoy. I know that he had an injury and all that stuff, but this is the first chance we get to see Jermod McCoy's athleticism on display since the 2024 season in that tape, which is very good. So let's see how he's handled his, I guess, time away from football. So Jermod McCoy is another one. You got some more on your mind?
I'm going to stick with skill guys, but I'm going to stay on the offensive side. I'm going to start with the running back that I like in the third round, maybe, or he may. I hope he doesn't run too fast. The Allen kid that's at Penn State.
Oh, yeah.
I actually
Katron
like him.
Allen.
I think he can be a very productive, solid player, probably just a notch maybe above Pollard. So then if you can get a guy like that in the third round, that'll definitely buy you some time. Also, I'm going to watch Ty Simpson. And the reason why I'm watching him, not for the Titans necessarily, but it's because how much he impacts the draft and how much that then pushes things down. And then does that give the Titans options to not only pick a player, but also move back and maybe get 2 players or 2 picks with players in maybe that round or another round. So I kind of like that. And then a guy that's kind of interesting, I still on the quarterback side, is Drew Aller, because he was there. Everybody thought he was going to move up the board. He got injured. I think it's a knee. I don't know how significant it is. So I want to see, because he has some tools and he has the traits athletically too as well. So I think he could potentially squeak into that first round if he has a good pro day, since Simpson is going Mendoza's not working out, is he? Or is he?
No.
Yeah. So the quarterbacks, because they impact the first round like no other. So, everybody may have a different view on Aller and Simpson, and, all it takes is one.
Yeah, we've been talking about size and athleticism. There's feels like 6 or 7, 6'2" wide receivers, plus huge wide receivers. I mean, Denzel Boston, who we've talked about a little bit, Chris Brazzell falls in that area, Malachi Fields, Bryce Lance from North Dakota State, Ted Hurst from Georgia State.
I like Tate.
You like Tate?
I know some people don't. I like him.
I mean, he's should be up in that size range too, right? That's what everybody's kind of said.
I think he's going to be the first receiver taken.
I wouldn't be surprised.
On the board.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Tyson is the best athlete, but the injury history is just, I can't get by it. Now, some people may.
Yeah. And we'll see when the official height, weight, all this stuff comes through. But there's people saying that Denzel Boston is going to run a 4.45, and we looked it up earlier. His dad ran a 4.46 at a lighter weight than this guy. So that means, in today's world, that kind of adjust for inflation kind of deal. I mean, I would believe it. And I've seen it on tape. He gets open. Now, he's a late separator, not an instant separator.
He's got long speed.
Yeah.
That means as he goes, that's when he picks up.
Right. And so, like, how do these guys perform next to each other? Stacked up, they're all similar size, all similar weight. How do these guys perform athletically next to each other? And it'll be an interesting thing just that I'm keeping an eye on.
What about the tight end? I want to see what that Vanderbilt kid, Stowers.
I was about to say Eli
Sadiq,
Stowers.
The guy from Oregon looked, I saw him. I was like, good. He looked like, I don't want to tackle him. He was ripped up.
I think he's like Adonis. Like, he is.
That guy has those shorts. He has those shorts out there playing football.
Someone said he had 0% body fat. Oh. And I'd almost believe on that.
Oh, that could get to be unhealthy.
Yeah. But I would say Eli Stowers, to your point, he was on Bruce Feldman's freak list. Yeah. 39-inch, apparently in high school or some point, he was recorded to have a 39-inch vertical and 11-foot 3 inches broad jump.
And that
guy finds space.
That's phenomenal. I think I was 10 or something. I don't know.
But
here's a safety though I'm looking for in middle round. Since we keep talking about safeties, the guy he went to Tennessee at first, he went to MTSU, then he went to Tennessee, then he went to Miami, and that's my guy Thomas.
Yeah,
he wrecked shop. This guy can play. I'm telling you right now, they're gonna have a steal. I've been watching him since I was like, why are they rotating him? At Tennessee, I had no idea. He got pissed and he went to Miami and they wasn't rotating nothing. He was balling number 8.
I got a little buyer beware here.
Buyer beware? Who?
Buyer beware.
Not buyer.
Keldrick Falk is probably, who's Auburn's edge rusher number 15.
I don't know.
Now, he is 20 years old. He's had 2 sacks and 5 tackles for losses this year. It was a very down year in production. I think he's going to explode at the combine.
Oh, he's going to test well?
And I think he's going to test well. But it's a lot like Mykel Williams for me. I'm not buying it. I didn't like and now listen, San Francisco drafted Mykel Williams last year, but I'm just not buying the Keldrick Falk tape. And a guy that I do want to put on everybody's radar, that'll be very interesting to see. He's in the short arm discussion right there with Reuben Bain. And in 13 games, he had 14 tackles for losses and 11 half sacks, whereas in 16 games, Bain had 15 and a half tackles for losses, 9.5 sacks. That's Cassius Howell from Texas A&M. I think we've talked about him a few times before. Number 9. Transferred from Bowling Green.
From Mac School,
From Mac School.
He's solid. I don't think he's better than Joseph's.
Jonathan Joseph's from Tennessee.
Yeah, I like him. All around good player.
Yeah, and I would say that there's talk that he may come in at sub 31-inch arms. But it kind of is like Nick Herbig and Nick Bonito, who both went in the 2nd and 4th round. So just another guy to put on your radar to see what he does this year. His tape is very, very good.
I'm watching Joseph, too. I like him.
Yeah, I do. I think he's pretty good as well. He's got some explosiveness to him. All right, that will do it for us. 3HL's up next. This has been Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. And in the meantime.
And in between time.
Peace.